Hello everyone, welcome back to the tutorials again. So in previous session we have discussed about the column which is loaded only axially loaded column, and we have discussed about the clauses which are applicable for axially loaded column. Even we have discussed about the design steps, as well as we have solved few problems on axially loaded column. But in today's session, what we are going to do is we are going to study about the column when the axially column which is loaded axially, as well as column which carries the movements. Okay, so if the column is carrying the movement in both the axes, that is x-axis and y-axis, it is called as column with biaxial movement. If the column is carrying the movement at only one axis, it is called as column with uniaxial loading. Okay, so you can see here, column with axial load is designed for minimum eccentricity. Okay, so we check for minimum eccentricity, and we design for columns with minimum eccentricity. Okay, now you can see the column which are having more than minimum eccentricity. How to consider the movement in those columns? What is the criteria to consider the movement? Do we going to convert that movement to axial load? So all those things we are going to study in this sessions. So before studying these sessions, the SP16 has given a curves to design the columns with uniaxial bending and column with biaxial bending. Means column which is subjected to axial load also, and uniaxial bending and biaxial bending. Okay, so we are going to study those curves first. So after studying those curves, you are going to use those curves in designing of columns. Okay, before moving to that, let us move to the basics. When a member is subjected to combined axial compression, means axial compression load and movement. When a member is subjected to combined axial compression and movement, such as shown in figure number A, you can see here figure number A, it is usually convenient to replace the axial load and movement with equivalent point load at eccentricity. So you can see over here at this point, at this particular point, a load is acting and a movement is acting. So how I can replace this load and movement with a single point load? You can see over here, if I provide the load at certain distance E, so what should be that distance? Distance should be m divided by p, that is eccentricity E. So I am going to calculate this E. How I am calculating this E, I will tell you. So basically our problem is the column which is carrying load at center and movement at the center. Okay, so if I convert that, so from P, if I keep at a distance, if I keep this P at certain distance E, means P into E should give us the value of m. So if I take this P over here, and I need to convert this distance with a movement, so P will come here, as it is axial load, P is going to settle down here. So P into distance is going to give us this moment. So this distance we are calculating based on the moment. Just we are replacing the point load and movement with the point load at certain distance. So how we are taking this distance? So this distance multiplied by this point load should give us the moment at the center. Okay, so that's what we are saying here. The two loadings are statically equivalent. All the columns may be classified in terms of equivalent eccentricity. So this is called as equivalent eccentricity. So if this equivalent eccentricity will help us to create the moment which is required. Okay, now you can see how this column is going to fail is very important over here. How this column is going to fail is very important. Based on that only we are going to draw the charts. So whenever the axial load is heavy, the compression over the entire concrete section is going to take place. So whenever there is a heavy axial load, the entire section will be in compression zone, and if overloaded it will fail by crushing. As the as the column is axially loaded, the entire column section will be in compression. Try to understand it. Column is a compression member. We are going to apply the load vertically downwards in a longitudinal direction, lengthwise. Okay, so that is why column is in compression zone. Next, if it is overloaded, means more and more load I am going to apply, then it will fail by crushing. Okay, but it will only fail by crushing by yielding the steel in compression zone on more heavily loaded side. So compression, due to compression, the column is going to fail. Column with large eccentricity, you can see large eccentricity, so this E value is too much, more are subjected to tension over at least part of the section. So how the column is subjecting to the tension, I will tell you. When we are going to apply, you can see over here, when we are going to apply the load which is having certain eccentricity, means if more the movement is there, more will be the eccentricity, because equivalent eccentricity will be m by p. So when we apply this load, this eccentric load will try to bend the column. It will not try to crush the column, it will try to bend the column. So due to bending, so you can see over here, if the column is going to bend like this, so like this columns are going to bend. So load is here, columns are going to bend like this. So due to this bending, if the eccentricity is more, the bending is going to get induced, and due to this bending, some part of the column is subjected to tension, and if this tension is overloaded, it may fail due to tensile yielding. Remember, in RCC section, concrete is going to take the compressive loads and steel is going to take the tensile loads, and due to tension, the stress is going to come, tension stress is going to come on the steel, and tensile yielding or tensile failure of steel on further side of load is going to takes place. For the columns load stage below the ultimate are okay. So whenever there is a more eccentricity, column is going to fail by tension. Whenever there is a less eccentricity, column is going to fail by compression. Okay, that's what they have told. Okay, now you can see the load stage. Now how the loading matters. So here, till here, the type of loading, how the type of loading matters we have studied. So the loading stage below the ultimate are generally not important for us. Cracking of concrete even in a column with large eccentricity is not important. Okay, because usually not a serious problem. Cracking of a concrete even for a column with large eccentricity, whenever there is a large eccentricity, column is going to fail by tensile yielding. So if the concrete cracks a little bit, so that's not a worry for us. But lateral deflection at surface load even is a problem for us. Lateral deflection, whenever the lateral deflection, or else I have told you, whenever there is a deflection is going to occur in the column, that is going to induce the uh, tension in the column. So that is going to worry about. That is what we need to worry about. Okay, so this is the basic. So basic says that whenever there is a large compressive load and a very little eccentricity, column is going to fail by crushing. At that time, yielding of steel doesn't matter. Okay, crushing of a column. And whenever there is a large eccentricity, the column is going to fail by tensile yielding of a, or some part of the column is in tension, and that is going to fail by tensile yielding. Okay, in service load, whenever there is a whenever there is a large eccentricity and concrete is cracking, at that point you should not have to worry about that, because due to large yielding, some part of the uh, column will be in tension side, and column will fail by tension. Okay, so that's what this paragraph says. Now you can see, you will just see the interaction curve. So IS code has designed those interaction curves. So these interaction curves in IS, sorry, not designed, in IS codes, these interaction curves are given. So not in detail they have given, just they have given the lines. But we are going to study it in detail. So I will mark this point as a dash. So A dash, B, C, D and E. Here 0, on x-axis there is a moment, on y-axis there is a load. So you can see at point A, the column is, so axial compression P0, so P0 axial compression. So this is the theoretical case assuming that large axial load is acting at a plastic center. Means at a center large axial load is acting, there is no eccentricity, there is no movement. So failure of column occurs only by crushing of a concrete and yielding of the bars. This is presented by P0 on the curve. So P0 on the curve, this is the curve. Means allowable stresses in the concrete should be within the limits, that is allowable is 0.003 maximum allowable. So whatever the stresses which we are going to induce are within this particular limit, or else we can say that if we compare the stresses in steel and stresses in concrete, stresses in steel is very less than stresses in concrete. That is why the column is going to fail by crushing. Same case we can apply over here, whatever we have studied here. So whenever the huge load is there, stresses in a concrete is very much higher than stresses in the steel. That is why column is going to fail by crushing, because as the stresses in concrete is high compared to stresses in steel, stresses in concrete are going to reach the ultimate level, and obviously concrete is going to fail, and that is by crushing. Similarly, you can see here, if the column is subjected to tension, some part of column is subjected to tension, stresses in steel will be more than stresses in concrete. So same way we can think also. So whenever stresses in concrete is very much higher than stresses in steel, the failure is going to occur by this crushing. Okay, now here you can see second one, maximum nominal axial load, that is Pn maximum. This is the case of nominal force acting on section with minimum eccentricity. So here we are considering the minimum eccentricity. According to ACI code, minimum eccentricity it is this much, but we need to worry about the IS code. So according to IS code, whatever the minimum eccentricity is there, 20 mm are those formulas. According to that, we need to consider the minimum eccentricity and then we need to calculate. Okay, so with the minimum eccentricity, we are considering the point till here. So this is the A dash. Okay, now after that, compression failure. This is a case of large axial load acting at small eccentricity. The range of this case varies from maximum value of Pn. So what Pn is a applied load, Pn maximum is a maximum allowable load, to minimum value of Pn, means balancing load, means minimum, whatever the minimum amount of load is there, that much we are going to consider. Failure is going to occur by crushing of a concrete on compression side within the strain of 0.003, where the stress in steel bars is less than the yielding stress. So that's what we are telling. So you can see as this curve moves on downward direction, the eccentricity is going to increase. But at a certain point, we are going to consider the minimum eccentricity. And whenever there is a minimum eccentricity, column is going to fail by crushing. Whenever the eccentricity is more than minimum eccentricity, slowly the tension zone is going to get induced. So you can see over here, next point, the strain distribution at point B corresponding to axial load and movement at one set of crushing. The concrete is just as the strains in a concrete on the opposite faces of the column reaches 0. Case B represents the onset of cracking of least compressed side of column because tensile stresses in a concrete are ignored. So this is a same case. I will show you with the diagram. So till point B we are going to study. So as this curve moves in a downward direction, the eccentricity is going to increase. As the moment is increasing, we can say that we are going to replace the moment with the eccentricity. Okay, so minimum eccentricity we are considering. So with that minimum eccentricity, there is a small amount of movement which is induced, but as it is very small, concrete column is going to fail by compression itself. That's why they have said by considering these diagrams, so minimum eccentricity they have considered and all those things. So region A to C, compression controlled failure. So till A to C region, compression controlled failure is going to occur because the eccentricity is slowly increasing and the load is failure is governed by axial load as the movement is small. Now balanced condition. At point C, balanced condition reached. When the compression strain in a concrete reaches, so you can see slowly from point A to point C, compression strain in a concrete is increasing due to axial load. So as we reaches point C, the compression in concrete reaches the maximum value. It is going to reach the maximum value, but you can see here as it reaches maximum value of 0.003 and strain in tensile reinforcement. So strain in concrete reaches maximum value and strain in tensile reinforcement is going to reach the maximum value. The failure of concrete occurs at the same time as steel yields. So now at point C, the failure is not only going to occur due to crushing or due to compression strain in concrete, but compression strain in a concrete maximum, it is going to reach the maximum value. Simultaneously the tensile strain in reinforcement is going to reach the maximum value, and hence the reinforcement is going to yield and then failure is going to occur. The movement that accompanies this load is called as balancing movement. So the movement at which the concrete reaches the maximum compression strain value, that is 0.003, it is called as balanced movement. Now tensile failure. Tensile failure is shown in point D. So till here what we can say is we can divide this entire curve in two parts. One is compression zone, another one is tension zone. So till here concrete reaches its maximum value. Whenever the concrete reaches its maximum value, it will try to transfer the loads to the steel, and from here the value of compression strain or strain in a steel increases. Just try to understand if you are getting confused. In simple way I will tell you. At this point there is no eccentricity. If there is no eccentricity, there is no point in considering the strain in steel. Here only small amount of strain in a steel is there, but at this point there is no strain in a steel, but only strain in a concrete is there. At this point we are going to consider the minimum eccentricity. As we consider minimum eccentricity, small amount of strain is going to get induced in the steel and strain in a concrete will increase, but strain in concrete will be more than strain in a steel. Similarly, as we move downwards, as we reaches point B, we are going to consider the minimum eccentricity. So this reaches the minimum eccentricity. As we are considering the minimum eccentricity, the strain in steel we are going to consider as a 0, but strain in a concrete will increase. Further, you can see as we move downwards, strain in a steel increases as well as strain in concrete also increases. Why strain in steel increases? Because as the moment is increasing, the eccentricity also increases. So as eccentricity increases, strain in steel will increase. As eccentricity increases, strain in steel also increases. As we move from point B to point C, the strain will decrease. Sorry, the strain will again increase, and strain in concrete reaches the maximum value. Strain in concrete reaches the maximum value, since again the strain in steel will further increase. At the point C, the maximum value of strain is attained in the concrete, and the maximum value of yielding strain is attained in the steel. So this, at this particular point, that is point C, whatever the value is there, whatever the value of strain in the concrete is there, that is accompanied by strain in the steel. That is, this strain in the steel is nothing but yielding strain. So that yielding strain is there at this point C. After this point C, you can see over here, after this point C, strain in concrete will remain constant and tension cracks are going to form in a particular zone. Why there are sorry, not tension cracks, tension is going to form in a particular zones. So why this tension is forming, they are given over here at this particular point, tension failure. This case axial load is small axial load is there with large eccentricity. This is going to cause the large moment. So before failure, tension occurs in large portion of the section. So you can see tension occurs in large portion of the section. So portion of the tension portion is going to increase after this point C. Okay, so large tension is going to occur, and failure is going to occur due to tension. Okay, so this is below that particular point. Next, due to pure flexure, below which below this point, this is a different diagram, below this point due to pure flexure, tension is going to occur. Okay, I hope you had understood this particular diagram. I have taken little more time to explain this diagram, so you can go through this diagram. If you have any doubts, you can just ask me. So I am going to combine these two diagrams. You can see over here, these two are same diagrams, but here the compression and tension zones are shown. Here compression and tension zones are not shown. Point 1 dash, where the load reaches maximum value, and E will be equal to minimum eccentricity, where E is equal to 0. So at point 2, again the eccentricity is going to increase. At point 3, in same way it is going to occur. At point 4, balanced failure is going to occur. So balanced failure means concrete also reaches its maximum strain, maximum allowed strain, that is 0.003, and even steel will also reaches its yielding strain. So this is the balanced failure, that is point 4. Similarly, due to pure flexure, means due to only tension, the failure is going to occur from 4 to 5. So you can understand by using this diagram also. Just I have shown that diagram for to make you understand about the strain concept. Okay, so again we are going to revise this particular diagram a little bit in next session, and we are going to discuss about the problem in next session. Thank you.